Good afternoon, everyone. How are we all doing? Looks like we got about 17, 18, almost 19 folks. All right, Gregory's joined us. Great. And we'll have Wendy Edwards jump on here in just a minute. All right. Let me get started here. So we're going to go ahead and get started. First off, though, I'm going to unmute Tashima if I can and just let her explain. Let me go to Tashima. And we're going to let her explain just the registration form. And I'll put this form. Actually, Gregory, if you could copy that and put it in the chat out of the questions. And then let me find Tashima. There you are. All right. Oh, there you are,
Hi,
Tashima.
guys.
Okay.
Thank you, Travis. So Gregory is going to post the attendance link there. I'll need you all to, and welcome, sorry. I'll need you all to go to that link and go ahead and complete that attendance. You will be getting 3 PD points. In order to get those PD points, you will need to attend at least 3 of these sessions, and we'll do this attendance sheet every single time. So yeah, and then we'll post it again a few times throughout the session, because it looks like, Travis, that if they join after it's been posted, they can't see the link. So that's why we need to do it a few times.
Okay. So yeah, Gregory,
Yeah.
if you wouldn't mind just monitoring that for me, we'll post it at the beginning, post it at the middle, and post it at the end as well. And I'll try to do a reminder in the middle of the session to have folks do that. That will be in the chat window. If you want to, there are a couple different windows here. You should be able to see, but you should be able to see the chat window, and we can put information in there. And I'm going to undock this and move that over here. Okay, so, all right. No, you shouldn't be able to see anything but the chat yet. So let me share my screen. Great question, Linda. Give me 1 second to get organized on my end. I apologize. All right, we'll get started. All right, so let me share my screen. And all right, go ahead and put in the chat or the questions area if you can see my screen now. Let me go to presentation mode. All right, let me know. Okay, you can see it. Thanks, George. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Today, this is week 1 of a 4-week, what we're going to call a boot camp. And the effort is to get you through the IT Fundamentals Pro course content as you prepare for the IT Fundamentals exam from CompTIA. So welcome, everyone. Thanks to Shima and for the others that have given us the time to help you get started and work through the certification exam. So let's talk about why we're here. Where we're going, what we're doing with our lives. So a couple of reasons that I came up with why you might want to be in attendance today. First one, you need to pass the exam for yourself. Tashima, I'm going to let you, since you did a fabulous job in the first session, explaining what that means to actually, you need to pass the exam. So what that does for the teacher as well as the school and everything along those lines.
So as most of you already know, in order for your school to get funding and for you to get the teacher bonus for any students that pass the exam, you all also have to have passed the exam as well. Okay.
Yeah, so our goal here, we're gonna go through the same content, well, very similar content to what you're teaching your students. With in a 4-week period, we're gonna put together some best practices and set some goals for you to go through it. So a couple of other reasons that we're gonna take a look at here. Do we want to? Let's see here. Increased knowledge of the concepts. I always like to point out there's teacher bonus money associated with this. This is a 0.2 level certification on the CAPE funding list, so you get a $50 bill for every student that passes it. And then it might be something you're interested in. Now, a lot of you have a business educator's background, and so you you may feel overwhelmed, and go ahead and put in the question or comment. And pretty good feedback from the first group that we did with high school teachers. But go ahead and in that question area, let me know if you feel overwhelmed by just the idea and the time to go ahead and do this. Let's see who feels overwhelmed about getting through this and taking the certification exam. So you can put that in the questions. Yes, Katie, Dion, not yet. Don't worry, it's coming. Anybody else have any opinions whether or not they're feeling overwhelmed? That's it, just Katie and Dion. Kyron's feeling very confident here. Good. Okay. That's good. We want you to feel confident. We want you to feel like this is something you can do. This is something you can go through. We can have you access and go through the material. And Alan, I'm going to agree with you. Alan put a crazy year, running out of time. Yep. So we're already through the first quarter of the school year, and Dion putting feedback in that, yeah, she passed the pre-test pretty well. So you're feeling good. Okay, we're going to talk about that here in just a second. Okay. By the way, we do have Wendy Edwards, who oversees the account for Orange County Public Schools, as well as myself. And then Gregory Schaefer is part of our implementation team on board from the test outside to answer questions. So if you have any questions as you go through, any feedback, please enter it in. We'll go through it and answer any questions you might have and address any concerns. Why can't you see the chat? Good question. Can they not see the chat, Gregory? Is that you and I had figured that out, that they could see the chat?
Well, with GoToWebinar, you could be joined with a desktop application or a web application, and both of them are slightly different. For instance, you and I are running on the desktop application, and it looks like some people can see chat, but I'm unsure. What I could do is I can send to Shannon just the help documents that GoToWebinar provides, and she'll be able to see, oh, I am an installed app attendance or a web attendance. We can go from there.
Okay. Hopefully you can all.
Sorry, we also have Katie. We also have Katie Wallace saying you have to click on the arrow and expand it from the little toolbar. So that must be the arrow that you can see as an attendee.
Okay. Yep. There's a little orange reddish arrow that you should be able to click on and see that. Yeah, great. Because you are going to need to fill out that registration form. Nope, still not seeing. Don't see other chats, but I can't see anything else. Shannon, can you see our screen?
We can only see like the question that we ask, and then when Gregory posts, we can see, but you can't see anything else from other people.
Okay, so you just can't see the other attendees. Okay, but you are seeing the registration, so if Gregory puts it in the chat, you can see that.
Right, the attendance, right.
Okay, that's good enough for now. If you have any questions, put it in the question box, and we'll go from there. Okay, so now we figured, lastly, I have no idea, but I'm here. Yeah, hopefully you have a little bit of an idea. So let's talk about the exam. So it's the CompTIA IT Fundamentals FC0U61. This is the exam from CompTIA that's listed on the CAPE funding list. This is the one that's the point 2. This is the $50 bill. This is the one we're after. Now it's broken out into 4 content areas. So as you can see here, it's all equally spread out, 25% security, 25% hardware software, 25% networking, and 25% databases and programming. So what you're gonna see with that actual test will be 75 knowledge-based questions in regards to content in those 4 areas. So once again, these are multiple choice questions that you'll be faced, and they all cover that particular content area. So that's what you're going to be taking when it comes time to take the exam. So let's talk about Test Out IT Fundamentals Pro. Many of you noticed, and maybe it was somebody, and I forgot to look between sessions. Maybe it was you, Shannon. One of you had asked me, well, why are we being put into version 1 into the Test Out Canvas course when you told us to teach from version 2? Go ahead and put that in the question if that was you. Let me know who that was, because that was a great question. So the differences between Test Out version 1 and version 2. Let's see, it's been almost 2 years. Well, 2 years that CompTIA kind of reshaped this particular certification exam. They threw in a content area called Databases of Programming that was not previously on the exam. Our course PC Pro covered all the content areas. We didn't have to have a separate course. Well, when they added 25% content to the test, we realized we needed to do something. We came out with version 1 of Test.IT Fundamentals Pro, and that was a year ago last July. So that way, teachers with the new exam objectives could have material to train their students to pass the exam. Now, we came out this last summer with version 2, which added content, as many of you might have seen if you had access to version 1. Version 2 has about triple the content in there. So we went from 4 chapters to 11 chapters. We went from 27 labs to 105 labs and added a whole bunch more material. And especially if you've noticed, chapter 11 is all about careers and soft skills. And each chapter ends with a section on careers and career paths. Now, here's a question. Why are we using version 1? Well, whoever it was that asked me yesterday, and I'll have to look it up and send them a prize or something, because it was a great question. Why are we using version 1 in this boot camp? Well, who here, and go ahead and put this in the question box, who here has a lot of free time? Extra time that they do hobbies and just so much time that you have time to sit around and read a book. I really haven't met a teacher that has a lot of free time. So what we're doing is we're trying to give you the more consolidated, condensed course to go through. Test out is we're looking at 4 chapters covering those same 4 content areas, and we're going to go through all those all at once. So let's jump in here. And so the question is, so yeah, this is going to be a shorter, more condensed version in version 1. And so the question that I was asked the other day is, can I use the same approach with my students? The answer is you certainly could. What we're finding though is students need a little bit more of the engagement. And so we're going to have them focus a little bit more on the labs. We do want to talk about jobs and careers because that's part of the student engagement. That's part of your DIT framework. That's really what we're after here. And so the approach that we're going to take with you over the next 4 weeks will be different than what your students are going to be experiencing in the classroom, and the differences between 1 and 2. Also, I'm going to suggest that you don't spend time in the boot camp material going through labs. As engaging as they are, we want to save you time. And if we're looking for just the course content and what we're looking to prepare for the exam, what we want to focus on is the video lessons, text lessons, and the quizzes at the end of each section to make sure we're understanding concepts. Okay, and I apologize. It looks like my colleague Wendy, I invited her as an attendee, not as an organizer. So I think there's some confusion on our part of who can answer questions, but Gregory's on board and he can assist as well.
And Travis, on that note, you can go ahead and unmute Wendy as an attendee. That way, if she does have something to share, she can immediately.
All right, perfect. And then I'm
also some house cleaning here. I apologize, Travis. It looks like we are getting your presentation view of PowerPoint instead of kind of like the instructor.
You know what? I am sharing the wrong screen. I'm sorry.
Right. So I actually asked where Wendy was, and that internally popped up for our attendees. So I thought that was embarrassing.
I need to pick the right screen. Yeah, we're a hot mess here. I thought we'd do better on the second one. Sorry, folks. Okay, let's look there. Does that look a lot better? There we go. And then give me 1 second, and I'm going to unmute Wendy so she can participate. Wendy Edwards, there we go. And now Wendy. And
thank you.
Now the question is, though, Wendy, can I make you a presenter? I'm not sure if I can. We talked about having you share some stuff.
I think you can.
Can I share my screen?
Yeah.
You should be able to share.
Yep, I'm going to make Wendy the presenter. She's going to talk about, before we move on, so we enrolled you all in our Canvas course, and we said, hey, we want you to take a pre-assessment. If you did not receive that email inviting you to the course, will you please, well, first of all, check in your junk mail It would have been sent last Thursday, October 15th, probably right around 11 o'clock Eastern time, 11:30, somewhere in there. And Wendy's going to share what that looks like, what that invitation would have looked like.
And sorry, do you see my screen?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
I do. Can everybody else see Wendy's screen?
Yes.
Okay.
I first of all just wanted to show the email that was sent to everyone. So it will look like this. It came from Instructure Canvas. Title is course invitation. So this is, if you didn't get the email, look in your junk folders. But this is what it should look like. So all you have to do is just click on the get started, which will take you into Travis's course. Here's where you can view the modules, some information up at the top. Here's your pre-assessment. And of course, you'll be going through the course from here. So you'll just go through each one. And Travis has set it up so that it's, you might be skipping a few things, but this is to make sure that you're getting all the content you need so that you can pass that exam. I wanted to show on the assessment, and I quickly took this assessment. So when you see my score,
we're not judging Wendy on her score.
No judging. Let me actually go to, because I already took it. Let me go back. Actually, let's look at grades. See if it will show.
Yeah, it's down at the bottom.
There we go.
There you go.
Pre-assessment.
24%. I saw it. Everybody else saw it too.
That was actually 24.1 out of 50. So I got about 49% on that. I wanted to see if I can get back the grades, which I don't really see. But in order for you to go back and see the report that you get from the assessment, let me just jump into LabSim. No preview.
Yeah, so you probably won't want to jump into an actual section. You're going to want to jump into test out IT fundamentals access, I believe, maybe.
Be aware, I am not familiar with Canvas. You guys are probably a lot more familiar with Canvas than I am. But once you can get into LabSim, click on this home screen up in the top. And then here is the custom exam that was created. So if I click on this exam, and here's my report. So now I can go back and see a little more details as to how I did on this assessment. As you can see, I didn't do so well in database for both of those. So that's something I should, really focus on. And one thing I would recommend, just based off of my experience, because I was just clicking through it, if you really don't know what you're doing in some of those questions, I would actually skip it, because if I'm just a good guesser, that's not going to help me as I go back and focus on those chapters that really need my attention. So
yeah, that's a great point, Wendy. Yeah, so this isn't like the ACT or the SAT where you were just guessing to get a score. Yeah. If you don't know, it's probably, in this case, better to leave it blank, because what we're going to do, and I'm going to talk about that next, is how we're going to use this pre-assessment to put together a game plan to allow you to get through the content as quickly as possible and as effectively as possible. So, okay, let me...
Is there any question, before I jump out of it and go back to Travis, are there questions while I'm in Canvas in here?
Yeah, so there was just one question from Yumeni. He was having an error message, and so we may have to jump offline and answer that after we're done and while you're seeing that error message. If you've already taken the pre-assessment, go ahead and put in that question, yes, that you were able to take the pre-assessment. By the way, I was very impressed with quite a few of you. My wife's a teacher. She also teaches a lot of teachers and trains teachers, and she says that teachers make the worst students. So I was impressed that you were making your statement a little bit wrong. So humanity's getting the error. How do you see the details again? And yes, did take the test. So Wendy, I think I pulled you away from sharing your screen. I apologize. Maybe I didn't.
I think I still have it.
Okay.
Okay, hopefully they still see it.
Yeah.
Let me jump back to this up at the course documents.
So the key is you're going to launch LabSim. Any of the module or assignments that allow you to jump into LabSim, and then what you'll do is you'll click on the home screen button,
which is up here at the top. And this is what it looks like for the students, but this was created as a custom exam. So here's that exam and then the report.
Okay. All right. Let's continue. Let me take back over sharing on my side, and I'm going to show the correct screen this time. Oops, Wendy, I think I need to make you stop sharing. Change presenter, and it's going to be me. Okay. So let me share the right screen here now, and let's talk about how we're going to use that pre-assessment to put together a game plan here. So let's jump into the next slide here. So here's my pre-assessment. By the way, Wendy, I got an 86%. I'm kidding you. We'll let you take it for real. We'll give you like 30 minutes. By the
Give
way,
me
it
a
should
second
be about
chance.
20 to 30 minutes. Tashima, I think you mentioned that in one of the emails. It took you about 25 minutes. So
Yeah.
but here, the reason why we don't want you guessing is what we're after here is using this report as a tool to put together a 4-week game plan to identify areas where you're weak, where you don't understand a lot of the concepts. I can tell you right now, I struggle with databases and I struggle with programming. Now, I guessed this is this is why you shouldn't guess if you don't know. I did guess on these, and I think I guessed them right, and so that's why it's showing that I did pretty good on programming. The first time I took this pre-test, and also I've taken this test twice too, Wendy, so I've seen the questions before. So there is that. But hey, if I'm putting together a game plan, I'm going to say, okay, I'm not understanding databases. I'm going to want to focus a lot of my 4 weeks on that database section. I'm doing pretty well on hardware and software. I'm doing pretty good on security, but I want to focus, make sure that I understand. I need more time to cover databases. So that's how we're going to use this pre-assessment as a tool to put together a game plan. So the question, there's a couple of questions here. George, you asked the required score to pass the CompTIA exam. That's a great question. I don't have that in front of me. I want to say it's like an 85%.
Yeah,
right.
I think it is. I just looked at that 600 or something. Let me look and get back to you on that.
It's like 600 out of like 750 or something, or I don't know, something like that. And how they designate that point value and weight certain questions, I'm not sure. And then Joshua was asked, is this 4-week course about how to use test out of classroom, or is it about the content of the textbook? This is all about you spending the next 4 weeks reviewing the material and going through so you're ready to take the certification exam and pass it. So we're dedicating 4 weeks. We're going to break it up into the 4 content areas. And so what I'm saying, Joshua, is take the pre-assessment and let's say, okay, each content covers a quarter of the exam. However, I'm struggling in databases. So instead of spending a full week, I might need to spend a week and a half covering databases and reviewing what I need to go through there. Does that answer that question for you, Joshua? So, and then Joshua says, I've just been reading chapters. I don't know how to see my students' grades. and I don't know how to organize my Canvas class so it doesn't look like 50 links per chapter. Great. Joshua, what we ought to do is, and by the way, any of the teachers that are in the same boat, you know, hey, how do I organize my class? How do I do that? Let's loop you back in with Ken Clark, who's our Canvas integration expert, and he can give you some best practices on how to do that. Am I presenting that right, Gregory? Ken can fulfill that role?
Sure, yeah, that's completely correct.
Okay, great. So yeah, so if any of you teachers, I can get you Ken's information. So passing score, 650 out of 900 is what we're looking for. Like I said, how those questions are weighted, I don't have the particulars on that. So 650 out of 900. Let's see, how do we do the test? So the test will be done in a proctored environment. It will be done most likely at your school, wherever you're set up to do testing. And Tashima, do you want to address maybe that for a second, as far as what you know as far as vouchers and how and when you want them to take the test?
Yes, so they're actually called coupons for the teachers for the complimentary exams. I will be able to get those over to you all whenever you're ready to test. The goal is for us to test together once this boot camp is over in November. That's the goal. You don't have to at that point, but you know, this information will be fresh at that time. You know, I have had a few teachers email me and say they're not going to take it with us. They're going to take it whenever they want, wherever they want. And that's also a possibility. So if you don't want to go through this boot camp and you want to just go ahead and take the exam, you are free to do that. It's your choice. We do recommend you doing this boot camp because even if you've done well, like Travis will say, it's still good to go ahead and just get the content and be ready to test. But I do have coupons ready to go whenever you all are ready.
Yeah, I best practices. So we did a very similar session, 4-week session with a group of 21 instructors in Hillsborough County. Of the 21, but there was 11 or 12 of them that I could tell from, you know, because I'm the teacher and I can now see the grade books and I can see who actually went in and did it. So about half of them really went through the course over that 4 weeks. The other half just, you know, it was summertime and they have a lot going on, and I totally understand that. But the ones that passed, we had a really, I believe, I didn't hear feedback that anyone didn't pass. So they put the time and the effort in to learn and get ready and take the test, and they took it right after the boot camp. That's going to be advised to do it that way. If we need to have you, you know, Tashimo and privately tell you that you do have a lot longer, as long as you're doing it by the end of the school year. Ideally by February would be the ideal, especially if you want the bonus pay. But ideally, we're taking this after the 4 weeks period's up. So
yeah.
The question was, and I'm going to slaughter the name, Hildelania. So the coupons are for what? The coupons are for the exams. You're going to get an exam voucher or coupon to go ahead and take the test. So you do not have to pay for it. Is my understanding.
Right. Yes, it's just a free voucher for the teachers to be able to take it.
Great. And George is wondering about kind of the schedule over the next 4 weeks. I'll address that here in just a minute, George. So let's move on. So the goal here, use the pre-assessment to evaluate and say, hey, I need to spend some more time, and what we're doing is using this. Now, this is a best practice as far as your students too. So if you're still getting going and you know, want to do something similar with your students and understand where they're scoring high or where they're scoring low, you could go ahead and create your own custom exam, give them a quote unquote pre-assessment, and so you can see where you need to spend time with your students as well. So I think this is something you can replicate with your students as you go through it. So let's see here. Let's move on to the next slide. Okay, and give me 1 second. And let's move on. Okay. So let's talk about test prep. So as you noticed, version 1 only has 4 chapters. Here's how we're breaking up those four weeks. So intro to computers, networking, databases, and programming, information systems, and security. And then what we're going to see is test prep for the CompTIA certification. Now notice there are different exam objectives here. So we've broken those up into the different content areas. So For me, I struggle with databases. I'm going to want to spend a lot of time working through these practice questions in number 5. But definitely go back through all of them, as all of the tests will cover all content areas. But once again, we could break down and go through these different content areas. There was a question here by Michael on the pre-assessment. Are the questions you select the most common to what will be seen? These are similar in type of questions and what we'll see on the exam. According to our development team, they go take the test. There's several of them that do it. They'll sometimes take it multiple times, and so we gain understanding of what's going to be on the test by going through that. So. Then use the domain questions to review the section. So make sure now let's say I felt really confident in going through just security. I felt really confident going and reviewing, but then I'm hitting these questions and I'm not really passing at a high rate. I'm probably going to want to go back through and make sure I understand these concepts as well. So once again, use these practice exam questions to make sure you're understanding overall content. And if we need to come back through, then we're going to want to review and go through those areas. So as I put here on content areas, you're scoring low in, review all questions from the domain, and then go back in and work through those. Okay. So best practices for exam prep. I'm going to go through a couple here. Now this is a little bit different. I'm going to suggest that you start at the end of each chapter. So instead of how we normally do it with your students, we watch a video, we do a text lesson, we do a lab, and then we do an end of section quiz. I'm going to say start with the end of section quiz and work your way back. Now, if I'm passing, who was it that was feeling really confident? Who was that? Somebody back up here. I gotta.
Chiron.
Yeah, Chiron's feeling good. So Chiron, I'm going to suggest you go to the end of section quiz. You're passing that with 100%. You're probably pretty good. Now, if I'm passing with a 75, 80%, I'm probably going to want to go back in, review some of the video tutorials, review some of the fact sheet pages. But if I'm passing with flying colors, I'm saving myself some time and moving on to the next assessment. So start backwards and then move forward. What does everybody think about that? You like it? I'm here to try to save you time and focus your efforts to the areas where you need to cover the most. So yeah, so start with the end of section quiz. And if you notice, let me go back to my Canvas course. Let me bring that up. Where did it go? Let's see. Oh, here it is. So if we go into the different assignments, how we've created, notice we've stuck the concept quiz in here. So you can go directly to the concept quiz. And this was kind of, I think, whoever was asking, I think it was maybe Michael. Let me go back up here. It was somebody was saying, hey, how do I create the Canvas course? And my suggestion, reach out to Ken, and Ken can give you some guidance there within that. But one thing we did here within our Canvas course is my colleague Zach doesn't like what he calls it bloating the course. So every video, every text lesson, every quiz, every lab in here. So what we've done is scaled it back in here. There's a concept quiz. Start with concept quiz. If I pass it, great. If I don't, then what I'm doing is going back in and reviewing the video lessons and the text lessons and working backwards and taking the exam first. And then if I need to go back and do the rest. Okay, let's jump back here. Okay, so start with the end of chapter assessments and work your way forward. Review video instructions and fact sheet pages. The content that you need for the exam is going to be in the video instructions and the fact sheet pages. I love our labs. Our labs are great. They engage the students. They put real world exercises in to make these concepts real. But somebody asked earlier, will there be any simulations on the exam? The answer is no. Now, we did throw one in the pre-assessment. That was just and I probably should have taken that one out, but it was to give you kind of a feel for the lab environment. But there won't be any labs on that. It's 75 multiple choice questions. So you're better off spending time reviewing the video lessons and fact sheet pages than you are going through the labs in this particular instance. So once again, use the labs as necessary. So if a lab will help you, if you're going through the programming and just not quite getting some of the concepts, go through one of the labs. That's not a bad thing, but if you feel like you're confident with what you're learning in the video instructions and fact sheets, I'm going to say you don't necessarily need to spend all the time on the labs. And then look for some outside resources such as Quizlet or Kahoots or whatever it is. You guys are very familiar with these. Some of you might have accounts where you can have access to more material here. I searched yesterday when I was putting these slides together. Quizlet has there was quite a few content areas where I could just go through and review some flashcards in the IT fundamentals exam material. So definitely look for some outside resources such as Quizlet. Things you've used in the classroom, they're all there. Other teachers have created concepts or content there as well. Okay. Lastly, let's go through some questions. Before we do that, let's talk about week 2 and 3 here. So week 2 and 3, we probably won't go a full hour. It's probably going to be maybe 30 minutes. Well, one thing we found with our group over in Hillsborough was it did meeting every week gave you a check-in point. Here we're going to be held accountable. We're going to talk about what went well, what didn't go well. We're going to collaborate. Here's some best practices. Here's what I found when going through this section. I found this Quizlet, maybe I can share. And so this is going to be a time to just check up on each other, answer any questions, make sure we're tracking correctly and holding each other accountable there. So week 4, we're going to come back in and we're going to circle up and we're going to say, okay, what do we need to do to get ready for the test? So let's make sure that we're understanding what we need to do to put together some best practices as far as test preparation. Okay, so at this point, let's open it up. By the way, contact information for Wendy as well as myself. If you're having issues with your account or licenses, feel free to reach out to Wendy or myself. Wendy will be your main contact here. I'm happy to help out as well. So make sure you have both of our contact information. If you did not receive the link to the course to get in here, email me. I'll go ahead and there was a couple that registered late, so they didn't get sent the Canvas course introduction there. So, okay, George says he still can't find the attendance link. That's going to be in the chat window, and you should see a link there from Gregory Schaefer that we'll go ahead and put in. Okay, any other questions as far as how we are approaching, preparing, and getting ready for this exam? All right, and George, I want to make sure you got that that attendance link. So once you can see that, let us know. Okay, any other questions? No questions. Should we work on the pace of the boot camp or on your own? Umeni, I'm going to say you work on it on your own. Your schedule, your time frame. The goal here is by the 4th week, you're ready to take the test. Tashima, I don't know if she mentioned earlier, if it was in this session or the one earlier. If you feel like you're ready and want to take it earlier, I think it was this session. Yeah, as soon as she can get you those coupons, then you can work on taking the test. So, George, you got the link. Great. And so, yeah, just back to Umeni's point. Hey, if you know you've got a busy week next week and it's just not going to work, plan that into your schedule. You've got 4 weeks to go through this. It shouldn't be too overwhelming. We've broken it down. That's why we're giving you the 4 chapters instead of the 11 chapters in version 2. We want to condense as much knowledge and make best use of your time. Wendy, Gregory, do you have anything?
Well, I don't know if we answered Michael's question. He said, on the pre-assessment, are there questions you select the most common to what will be on the exam? Yeah, I think his question is for your pre-assessment, does it kind of look like the exam? The answer is that pre-assessment's really meant for you to know which areas you should focus in on our course. I don't think it reflects what's on the CompTIA exam. Is that correct?
Yeah, so if you're looking for more of the type of questions that'll be on the exam, now I think our pre-assessment, some of those questions will be, but I would look to our end of chapter practice exam questions to look more like what you're going to see on the exam. So use that as kind of a focus there.
Okay, and Michael responds, that makes sense.
Yeah. Gwendolyn, are we able to test at our school, or do we have a specific location to go for testing? Tashima, that might be a you question.
Yeah, you can
I'm
test
assuming
at your
both
school if you
schools
want.
have a
That's
testing
fine.
center.
Yeah, all the schools are going to be testing their students at school. So yeah, if you're a teacher and you want to take the exam and you have someone to proctor you at your school, you absolutely can.
Yeah. That's one of the really nice things about this particular exam is you don't have to go to a Pearson's testing center. All their other
Right.
tests are, you do have to. They do have a test at home option, but I've heard it's very miserable, and they do a very thorough job making sure there's nothing else in the room, and it's challenging. How many vouchers per teacher? I'm assuming it's just one to begin with. So let's just pass it first, Gwendolyn. We're going for one
Yeah.
and done, and move on with our lives. That's what we're
Right.
after.
So we
And
can provide you with one right now, and then if you need another one, we'll figure that out when we get to that point.
And Humanity's asking, how are we testing launch ed students?
Okay, that's a question for later for district folks. So we don't have answers for that just yet.
Okay, perfect.
Shannon is asking a question from previously, and I think I know which question, about the questions on the exam. Are they the same questions from the section quizzes? Are there more questions to pull from so that students have a variety of questions? And if you want me to answer.
Yeah, I'll let you answer that.
Okay, so at the end of section, there is the practice exams, and those practice exams, it is pulling from a database of multiple questions. So if you're taking the practice exam within LabSam, it will be a little different each time. The questions are mostly from what you will see on the end of section quizzes.
Yeah, great. So I'm just reading through Shannon now. Her question makes a little more sense, and she brings up a good point. From what she says, from what I've researched, it seems the key in passing the certification is practicing the questions. It's familiarizing. Once again, this is stuff I think a lot of you are going to find out you know the concepts, like because you're a teacher, you deal with technology on some level every day. It's understanding the terminology, the verbiage, how different things interact, and so I'm pretty confident that's why you'll see pretty good success here to go through it. Are they all timed, or can I set it up for them at their own pace to start off with? So that was a question from Shannon. Is this, Shannon, I'm just not sure if we're talking with your students or if we're talking about the certification exam itself. And I probably should know the time length on the CompTIA exam. Did anybody see that when you were looking at the passing score?
It's 60 minutes.
60, I was going to say.
75 questions.
75 questions, 60 minutes, okay. And then Yumeni's asking, when we purchase the licenses, either 50 or 100, do they expire? I'm assuming those are the test vouchers.
12 months.
12 months, okay. So you have 12 months to use those vouchers. Okay. And then Shannon, no, I mean if I set up practice exams for my students. So yeah, if you want to set up a practice exam, you could create a custom exam and set a time limit for them so they could get used to that 60-minute time window. And when I set up a custom exam, I saw the same questions that were in the second. Yeah, so you will see the custom exam. So if you want to, you can use those same end of section quizzes, or you can go out and create your own or modify any of ours. I like to suggest to a lot of teachers to, you don't have to reinvent the wheel, just rephrase how we're asking a question. Sometimes that's enough to make sure a student understands it. And then Susan's asking, do the vouchers. Let's see. Sorry, do the OHERs and then OCHERs, and then it ended up vouchers. We got it here. We got you, Susan. Do the vouchers one with a retake for the students? The question is, will there be a retake for the students? Once again, we're shooting for a one and done. Let's move on with life and move on to Microsoft. Let's get them through this. And really, honestly, that comes a lot with a competitor company of ours that gives endless vouchers. It seems like we want them to pass. I'm assuming, Tashima, there will be a way if they need another voucher that something will be arranged there. But
Well, yeah, when you purchase 100 vouchers or 50 vouchers, they're like you use them that many times. So if it's the same student that needs to retest, they're just going to use up another voucher. That makes sense.
Great.
So it's whatever you all decide to purchase as a school.
Yeah. And if it's the same exam the students need to take, 75 multi, yes, this is going to be the same exam. So
yes,
same exam. That's why you're taking it and why we want you to pass it. Also, this is going to give you a good perspective. One, you can see, hey, we're using Canvas too, how we're setting things up, and maybe using it, give you some ideas here. See how your experience is in going through it. And once you take the test, it's going to be a good experience to come back and say, okay, I felt like test out really didn't answer, to Shannon's question. Hey, if I have to, ask some different questions or phrase them differently than they were familiar with on test out, you're going to get that experience by taking the test, and so that's going to be really beneficial there. So are there different versions of the exam, and are the questions weighted? Once again, I'm not the CompTIA expert. I'm going to answer it though. The answer most likely is yes and yes on that, just by nature of it being approved on the CAPE list, and there has to be multiple versions to even get approved on the CAPE list. And I'm assuming with the weighted questions, we don't divide 4 modules into 75, so some questions will be weighted differently than others. Yumeni is asking, is there a way to retrieve our CompTIA academic partner ID? I do not know that.
They should have sent you an email if you did that first step in the instructions that we sent out. And about a day or two later, they send you an email with that.
Okay, so go back, go and check your email, Yumeni, and see if you got that a couple days after you sent that in.
Travis?
And then, Gregory.
Yeah, the Alan Rasmussen asking about what if we have students with extended time or students that need extended time?
So yeah, I answered that question for you guys in there. They can't see it, but you'd have to post it. The teachers will need to, just guys, remember that Test Out and CompTIA are 2 different companies. So this is Test Out. They don't really have answers about CompTIA itself. Yeah. But with that said, because I don't want to waste a bunch of their time asking questions about CompTIA when they don't really have the answer for us.
I think it's good. Like most certification companies, they do have to offer accommodations.
So, right. So yeah, you have to notify them. There's some instructions about that somewhere that we can find when you need it. But you do have to notify them ahead of time so that they can get it approved about accommodations for students.
Yeah, now Alan's pointing out you're probably going to have to provide some type of documentation to support that. So yeah, great point, Alan. And I'm sure a lot of you will have students with accommodations and what those look like. So the test out is training. So I don't know how to pronounce the name. Hildy.
Just call her Hildy. Yep.
Hildy. Okay. So this is the test out test and not CompTIA. So CompTIA is the one offering the test, and we're offering the training for the test.
Correct.
Hildy, I love it. I got it. I can do Hildy. All right. Hey, great questions. Any others? These are fabulous. I'm happy to do this all day long. No. We want you guys to be successful. So let me just review and recap before we finish up here. If you haven't taken the first of all, if you haven't gotten into the course, email me. My contact information is on the screen. I'll resend the invitation or send it if you registered after last Wednesday or Thursday, whatever day it was that I initially sent the list. Once you get into the course, take the pre-assessment, use it as a roadmap to put together a game plan. You have 4 weeks to go through 4 chapters. Like I said, I want to make most use of your time, whether you're studying this at school on your prep period, which I doubt because those aren't really offered. And then and then put together a game plan, how to best use your time to get through those 4 chapters. Start with the end of section quizzes and work your way forward. And then we're going to use the practice exam material at the end, really to nail down and get ready for the test. So, and then Susan mentioned, are you going to send us some cool test app masks? Hey, there's 20. I've got 20 masks. So once you go take the test, I'll send you a mask. Just send me an email. And I threw it out to the first group of the high school group. First 5 to take and pass the test are going to get some extra swag. So just let Tashima know when you pass. First 5 middle school teachers to pass. First 5 high school teachers, Tashima, I'll let them reach out to you, and you'll probably be aware of it when they do. We want to hear that you passed, and we'll send you some extra swag and stuff for your classroom. So.
Cool.
Okay, any last questions or thoughts or concerns?
One last time, if you haven't filled out the attendance, go ahead and do that. The link is there. I don't know if Gregory, you want to post it one last time in case anyone came in late. You have to be here for at least 3 of these sessions in order to get the PD points that is being offered. And we're going to give you this link every time you attend.
Okay, thanks everyone. Get studying. We're going to review next week and go through and collaborate a little bit, and we'll go from there.
All right, Travis, thank you guys again.
Okay, thanks Tashima, thanks Gregory, thanks to Wendy for taking the time and working through this with us today.
All right, y'all have a good day.
Okay, take care.
Bye-bye.